Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you didn't blink because we're basically already here. Welcome to WrestleMania 41 week. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my match-by-match predictions as to who I think is going to win each match at WrestleMania 41. We'll go through things match by match. I'll tell you who I think is going to win, but most importantly, I'll try to explain why I think it makes sense for that person to win. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And hey, don't forget that if you want more than just daily wrestling content, come over to the Patreon. Over there, it's WrestleMania week right now, where we're watching some of the most famous WrestleMania matches of all time that you got to vote on, but you also get the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, the podcast early, and a bunch of other series that will never be uploaded here to YouTube because they would just get blocked due to copyright. So come check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. Woo! Let's start predictions. Okay, so before we fully dive into the WrestleMania predictions, let's make some predictions about the night before, WrestleMania SmackDown, because there are some things happening on this show that are very much WrestleMania season-esque, but also might have some implications as to what we'll actually see on the WrestleMania 41 card. Let's talk about the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Remember when this thing kind of mattered? It only mattered like once, that's it. But I'll make the prediction anyway, since this is a WrestleMania season type of match. I'm gonna go with Berto. I feel like they're setting him up to have a big triumphant moment after everything that's been going on between him, Legado del Fantasma. We were inserting Andrade into this storyline. I think that WWE is setting up a babyface push for Berto at some point in 2025, and I think a victory in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal could be a way to start rolling this ball down the hill. So I'll say Berto. Now let's talk about the WWE Tag Team Championship match between the champions, the Street Profits, defending against the legendary Motor City Machine Guns. I think you all know I'm upset about this, and it's not just me. It's pretty much the entirety of the internet wrestling community that firmly and strongly believes that the SmackDown Tag Team division, the Terrific 10, deserve a spot on the WrestleMania card. And we all thought that they were going to get it, considering they spent the better part of like 7 months building and rehabilitating this tag team division to the point where we all believe that they earned a spot at WrestleMania. So for them to not be on the WrestleMania card seems a little bit peculiar. And I hope that WWE is listening to the noise. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I am going to predict that Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns is going to end in chaos. It's going to be shenanigans. We're going to have DIY out there, pretty deadly. Probably The Miz and Carmelo will probably get involved. Los Garzas, we're probably going to have everyone from the tag team division insert themselves in this match somehow, to the point where hopefully Nick Aldis just blows up, and in classic Nick Aldis fashion, where he just never comes prepared to shows, just makes a match last minute and gives us the ladder match that we all want, and they themselves, the tag teams, deserve at WrestleMania. So I'm saying no contest, but they create a tag team ladder match at WrestleMania. Fingers freaking crossed. And the last thing that's worth talking about is Randy Orton. We know Randy Orton is not missing WrestleMania. In no way, no form can they leave the Viper, one of the most legendary WWE superstars, off of the WrestleMania card. We know that he had a match against Kevin Owens, but now that's on the shelf because of Kevin Owens' real life neck surgery that's scheduled to happen. Of course, all the best wishes to Kevin Owens, and hopefully he's able to come back quicker than some of the timelines are saying. I think that we're being misdirected in it being Solo Sikoa. At least I hope we're being misdirected. I do think that Randy versus Solo is a simple, easy match to do, but we never got the payoff in the promo between Nick Aldis and Randy Orton. And Randy Orton was starting to get vicious. This man brought up real life wife Mickie James into the equation to really get under Nick Aldis' skin, and they teased and brought up the fact that Randy would be fine even facing and RKOing out Nick Aldis at WrestleMania if he has to. So I think that we will get Randy Orton versus Nick Aldis. If it's Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa getting officially announced, I guess I'm fine with that too. But I think all of us want Nick Aldis in this. So I'm gonna go with the bold prediction and say that on SmackDown we get Randy Orton versus Nick Aldis properly announced. Okay, now that we've talked about WrestleMania SmackDown, now let's actually talk about WrestleMania itself. So let's settle in and jump into it. Let's start things off by talking about the WWE Women's Championship match between champion Tiffany Stratton defending against the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can boo. I think it's a fair statement to make when I say that this might be the worst built match out of this year's WrestleMania, at least when compared to the matches that actually had time to be built. And it's kind of crazy considering this was the match that we all wanted wanted for the past 12 months. We all were fantasy booking Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. Unfortunately, the WWE took the absolute worst approach to give us this match, which was having Charlotte Flair come back from injury, win the Royal Rumble, and disappoint absolutely everybody. And they also made a terrible mistake by trying to bring her back as a babyface when we all immediately wanted to boo Charlotte Flair out of the building, which forced everything to change, characters to shift, and it made this storyline completely awkward basically from the onset. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, let's just call a spade a spade. They have absolutely zero chemistry with each other when it comes to storytelling and promos. They just clearly do not work well together, or maybe just simply do not want to work together. What I'm hoping for is the fact that maybe these two are egotistical to the point where they want their match to be the show stealer, to be the best match of WrestleMania, and the only way to do that is to work well with each other and make each other look awesome. So although I know this feud stinks, I think that this match is going to be absolutely stellar. However, I think that some people are going to remember this as one of the lower points of the night because I think that Charlotte Flair is going to win. I think she's going to win for a couple of reasons. Charlotte Flair, even though has been completely unintentional, has turned into one of the most hateable people in the WWE. And when you get to that level of heat, even if it's go away heat, making her the champion will make any babyface that WWE is trying to push look like $1 million. And right now, the babyface Tiffany Stratton experiment isn't working, but maybe a Tiffany Stratton babyface that is chasing the title, trying to topple the queen, the gatekeeper Charlotte Flair, that might be the way to get over babyface Tiffany Stratton. So I'm going to stick with what I've always said, as angry as this is going to make people: death, taxes, and Charlotte Flair winning championships. Those are the most guaranteed things in life. So I am going to go with Charlotte Flair winning what I think could be the best match of night one. This is a great way to start the video with everybody booing me. This is unreal. This is so good. Oh my God, dude. Here we go.
Man, there it is.
That's what we live for. That's a good moment. That was beautiful. Psych! That was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club WrestleMania edition, available exclusively on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week we're looking at Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, Bloodline Rules WrestleMania 40. God damn it, it's just as good as I remembered. The legendary match between The Rock and Hollywood Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. The technical classic between Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 19. The WrestleMania 23 Money in the Bank ladder match. And part 3 of the trilogy that was Stone Cold versus The Rock at WrestleMania 19. You'll be getting all of these, plus all the other matches that we've already done, plus the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, the currently ongoing and almost done Undertaker WrestleMania match review, the currently ongoing Royal Rumble reviews that we're doing, and so much more, all over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This is all content that we can never upload to YouTube because it would just get blocked due to copyright anyway because we use real footage. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. I am confident that if you try it even for just 1 month for this WrestleMania season, that you're going to fall in love with the content and the community. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support. Now let's get you back to the video. Let's move on to the WWE United States Championship match between champion LA Knight defending against Jacob Fatu, or as Braun Strowman would say, Jacob Fatu. I think that if there is a match that could be a quick squash match, it might actually be this one, although I hope that's not the case. I hope they actually give these guys some room to breathe. However, the way that Jacob Fatu has been booked, to me screams that this could absolutely be a squash match, and it could make sense as a squash match. I hope that they get anywhere from 9 to 12 minutes. I think that these guys could put together a pretty decent match in that amount of time. Now, with the things that are going on with Solo Sikoa and Solo Sikoa maybe potentially actually getting a match at WrestleMania, I think that this could change the way that I was going to predict this match, because I thought that there was a world where Solo Sikoa would once again interfere in a championship match at WrestleMania and cost somebody the match, but this time not helping his member of the bloodline, but instead costing the member of the bloodline in Jacob Fatu. But now I think that Jacob Fatu is just straight up going to win, and that after the match, maybe in a post-match celebration or in a future episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Solo will then turn on Jacob Fatu, thus setting up a United States Championship feud between Jacob and Solo. I just have a hard time seeing how, if there are no interferences in this match, how Jacob Fatu doesn't win this, brothers. So Jacob Fatu, one of the more protected singles characters in the WWE today, is walking into WrestleMania as the challenger, and I think that he's walking out as your new WWE United States Champion. Let's talk about a women's match with nothing on the line, just hatred. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. And if you can believe it, this is the first women's singles match that doesn't have a title attached to it at WrestleMania in 19 years. And frankly, these two deserve this accolade, because out of all of the matches that are on here, without any glitz, any glamour, any crazy stakes involved, this might be the best built match going into WrestleMania 41. Jade Cargill so far looks like a star, looks like the future star that WWE is clearly going to be pushing quite hard after WrestleMania. But I think the biggest surprise and the most pleasant surprise of them all is how good this evil Naomi has been. She's been so good in this role that I think that she has finally found the holy grail, the thing that could make her stand out from all the other women on the roster. She isn't now just one of the baby faces because there were more popular baby faces than her. She is now one of one. She is the only Naomi. She is the only type of heel in the women's division that is like this. And because of this, I do believe that this heel turn will keep Naomi in the main event picture for a really, really long time, so long as WWE doesn't fumble it. So right away, this match is already a win for everyone involved, without even actually talking about who's going to win and who's going to lose this match. That being said, I do think that Jade Cargill is going to pick up the victory. I do believe that she would benefit the most from a victory here. Don't get me wrong, I think that Naomi beating Jade Cargill would be huge for her, but Naomi, with how good she has been in this character, I think she can survive a loss and still continue to be a menace in the women's division, even if she were to lose this match at WrestleMania. Jade Cargill, on the other hand, if she loses here, especially if she loses clean in some way, shape, or form, I think that would cause some monumental damage to her overall standing. So because I think that the outlook of 2025 is for a major Jade Cargill push, hell, they're already teasing her against Charlotte Flair, a Charlotte Flair that I predicted is going to win, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're setting up Charlotte Flair versus Jade Cargill at some point down the line here in 2025 for the WWE Women's Championship. I'm gonna go with Jade Cargill here, so lock that in. Let's talk about the World Tag Team Championship match between the champions, the War Raiders, Ivar and Eric, going up against the New Day in Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Before I give you my prediction, let me just give you my thoughts. This match does not deserve to be at WrestleMania. The only way that this deserves a WrestleMania spot is because they might be planning a major surprise at the actual WrestleMania match. But if WWE had this big surprise planned, which we'll talk about in just a second, why in the world would you not give this more tender love and care, more screen time, and more actual, I don't know, care and development? Because this match seemingly was just made out of nowhere, out of thin air. The match that created this match in the first place seemed to be an afterthought, as WWE seemed more focused on promoting all of these Tony Hinchcliffe comedy specials on Netflix. But here we are. We have the New Day versus the War Raiders. No disrespect to these guys because they're amazing tag teams in their own right. I just wish the WWE gave them a little bit more to actually build with. The match, I think, is going to be good. The talent that we have here is excellent. There's no denying that. The problem is that going into this match, I couldn't care less, not either about the tag teams or the division itself. So here's where I think things are going to go. I think that the War Raiders are going to retain, and I think that they're going to retain because of interference of Big E. The only thing that can make this like worthy of WrestleMania, considering it hasn't had any sort of build whatsoever, is that the New Day will finally get their comeuppance for what they did at the end of 2024, completely shattering Big E's heart. I could see the return of Big E, maybe not a full-time return, but finally able to maybe get a little bit physical. He takes out the New Day and the War Raiders pick up the victory, thus giving us the big happy moment of the return of Big E. That is literally the only thing that can happen that could make this WrestleMania worthy. Any other result, and I'm gonna be throwing up my hands in the air and asking, why was this on the WrestleMania card? So I do think that if there's a match that you can expect like a big flashy return, big old swerve, it's going to be this one. So that's it. I'm gonna go with War Raiders as my final prediction. Moving moving on here, let's talk about a battle of legends between Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano. A lot of people have been petitioning for this match to turn into a mask versus mask match. It's possible that that might end up being the case, considering we still have one more episode of Monday Night Raw. However, I am recording this on Sunday before that episode of Monday Night Raw. So if it turns into a mask versus mask match, I don't know yet. I do believe that the big reveal of this match is going to be who's under the mask of El Grande Americano, because there seems to be a lot of rumors that it's Chad Gable, which I think is preposterous. El Grande Americano has a rich lineage and a rich history as a luchador all over the world. How could Chad Gable have been doing all of that plus being in the WWE unless Chad Gable is Mr. Worldwide? And last time I checked, there's only one Pitbull. Dale. Look, with everything that El Grande Americano has been doing, disrespecting the art of lucha libre, I do think that WrestleMania is where he gets his comeuppance, where the bad guy finally gets his due. And I do believe that Rey Mysterio is going to end up picking up the victory here. And I would not be surprised if post-match Rey Mysterio finally unmasks El Grande Americano so he can finally reveal to the world and put this stupid rumor aside that El Grande Americano is Chad Gable. Speaking of Chad Gable, I can't believe he's not on the WrestleMania card. Absolute travesty. So I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio here. I think this is going to be a really fast-paced, really fun match. I bet that there's going to be a lot of like multi-man shenanigans. We're probably going to have all of LWO getting involved, all of American Made getting involved. There's probably going to be a lot of cool moves happening in between the match between all of those guys, similarly to how we got during the Rey Mysterio match at last year's WrestleMania. I think that we're going to get some crazy shenanigans like that again. Maybe not having, two football players getting involved in the match though. So Rey Mysterio will defeat El Grande Americano, and once again continuing the trope that if you made your name somewhere outside of the WWE, the second you get to the WWE, they're just gonna bury you for the bigger name and the bigger legend. Now let's talk about the World Heavyweight Championship match between champion Gunther and the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble winner Jey Uso. This feud has gone through a roller coaster. It was the worst built WrestleMania match up until it wasn't. Up until WWE finally turned on the light switch and turned this into a pretty good storyline and feud. I'm just really happy that WWE decided to focus on Jey Uso's family ties as opposed to everything else that they were doing in the lead up to it. Here's the thing, I'm gonna keep my prediction pretty simple and pretty rudimentary. I'm gonna go with Jey Uso. I think you can only dangle the carrot so many times in front of Jey Uso fans before Jey Uso fans stop caring, because how many times have we seen Jey Uso come so close but not close enough? I think that having him win the Royal Rumble has to be the final catalyst, the final step for Jey Uso to finally get his moment. This guy is way too over. You've invested way too much in him by having him win the Royal Rumble match. Having him lose here would completely destroy any ounce of credibility that Jey Uso has moving forward. Now, a lot of people also think that if Gunther were to lose to Jey Uso, that Gunther himself will lose a lot of credibility. But Gunther is the final evil bad guy. Gunther is the perfect guy for the lovable babyface to topple, which is why he lost to Sami Zayn at last year's WrestleMania and why I think he's going to lose to Jey Uso at this year's WrestleMania. Listen, Gunther's going to be fine. Gunther will probably win back that World Heavyweight Championship somewhere down the line, and he just re-signed with the WWE as well. A new contract, by the way, that doesn't just give him more money, but now this dude has his own tour bus. He's going to be traveling in luxury. You think he cares that he's going to lose the World Heavyweight Championship? I think he's going to be just fine. But like I said, you can only do the pull the rug from under Jey Uso right before he wins a championship trope so many times. If you do it one more time, it'll just be way too groan-inducing and people will entirely lose interest in Jey Uso. And hell, maybe even the Royal Rumble winner will just have a lot less hype and aura around them if Jey Uso loses here, considering Jey Uso won the most hyped Royal Rumble of all time. I'm saying Jey Uso walks out as champion. And now let's go to the main event of night one, a hatred-fueled triple threat match with nothing on the line in terms of championships or opportunities. We have Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins. And the big overlooming question about this match is, what will Paul Heyman do? We know that Paul Heyman is part of the favor that CM Punk has enacted, and CM Punk is going to be walking out and having Paul Heyman in his corner throughout this match, leaving the tribal chief Roman Reigns without a wise man. But now we also have Seth Rollins planting seeds of doubt into Paul Heyman, which does beg us to ask the question, who will Paul Heyman side with after all of the things that Seth Rollins said to him? Because all those things were just fundamentally facts. So I do think that Paul Heyman is going to play a giant role in the decision of this match. A lot of people think that Paul Heyman is going to be walking away with Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins is the new Paul Heyman guy, which that would be a crazy swerve. I do think, and here's my prediction, that Seth Rollins is going to win, but not because Paul Heyman helps him win, at least on purpose. I do think that there's going to be a moment between CM Punk and Roman Reigns where Paul Heyman is in the middle, and it's that moment of doubt that opens up an opportunity for Seth Rollins to pick up the victory between these guys. But Seth Rollins is going to win not because Paul Heyman helped him win and now he's the new Paul Heyman guy, but because Paul Heyman couldn't choose sides between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Something that he's already alluded to when he said that he won't betray his best friend CM Punk and he won't betray his tribal chief, but at some point or another, he might have to pick sides. And this hesitation of picking sides, I think as well, will open up a window for Seth Rollins. And with this result, I think this sets us up for CM Punk versus Roman Reigns somewhere down the line, very much likely SummerSlam, and finally give Seth Rollins his ability to be able to brag that he was able to put down both Roman Reigns and CM Punk in one night, making him even more insufferable, but also right. So that's it, folks. That is my night one main event prediction. Your boy is going with Seth Rollins is walking out as the winner. Moving on to night two, let's start off with AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. This match has had a very weak and very nonchalant build to it. I feel like WWE is pretty much entirely banking on the fact that this match has two very, very talented performers and athletes that will just put on a great match and be maybe the best match of the night if they're given the ability to show off. I wish that they had more time to actually develop a good storyline and a good reason as to why these guys hate each other, because frankly, from a storyline perspective, I'm not excited about this match at all. But from the in-ring perspective, I am incredibly excited for this match. Now, as it is with every Logan Paul match, we can't just predict the winner. We also have to predict who is going to come out in the prime outfit, because we're all expecting it to happen another year again. It's become a fun trope of WrestleMania, so I'm going to guess that at this year's WrestleMania, under the prime outfit will be Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is already a business partner with Logan Paul, with Lunchley, and their combination of Feastables and Prime. I hate that I know this much about the world of influencer food marketing, but I know that they're partners together. Mr. Beast is a giant household name at this point. I know a lot of people are predicting Kai Cenat, but there's just way more connection between Mr. Beast and Logan Paul than there is between Logan Paul and Kai Cenat. So I'm predicting that it's going to be Mr. Beast under that outfit. Now, in terms of who I think is going to win, I'm going to go with AJ Styles. AJ Styles is basically in a quiet retirement tour. This might be his last WrestleMania. Who knows? This guy has already said that he's not going to wrestle past 50, and he's already almost there. So because of that, I think that WWE is going to want to give him the victory here. And since there's no championships involved or any stakes involved, it doesn't necessarily help Logan Paul to walk out with the victory here. I feel like Logan Paul could actually look better in a great loss and in a memorable moment with all the stuff that he tends to do with Prime. Because last year, it made sense for him to win because it was for a championship. But this time around, it's just about putting on a good match, and Logan Paul could easily lose this, and AJ Styles can get his big WrestleMania win. So I'm going to go with AJ Styles. Now let's talk about the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match between the champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez going up against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. So we talked a little bit earlier about how War Raiders and New Day just don't deserve to be on the card because WWE just didn't care about the division. This is another one of those situations where WWE just didn't give two single shits about the women's tag team division up until they realized, maybe we should give a tiny little bit of a shit, and decided to put together a excruciatingly long gauntlet match of tag teams that aren't even tag teams to give us what we have today, which is the tag team champions going up against a non-tag team in Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. So the match has absolutely no story, no hype. This match, I promise you, is going to be awesome. The talent in this match alone will carry this match into a match that a lot of people are going to remember as being way better than it had any right to be. And if I'm these women, I want to demonstrate to the world that even though WWE didn't care about the division, that we should care about them as performers. And when I look at the performers that are in there, this is primed to be an absolutely fantastic match. Lyra Valkyria, I think on the main roster, is literally right below Io Sky in terms of in-ring work rate. it. I think that she's phenomenal, and she's gonna look like $1,000,000 with the talent that she's surrounded with. And it's good to make the Women's Intercontinental Champion look good, but you know what would have made it look better? Maybe an actual match at WrestleMania for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. How about that? Anyways, there's no point of complaining about that because we're not gonna get it. So let's talk about who I think is gonna win this. I think that Liv and Raquel will retain the Women's Tag Team Championships here. If they want to give us a swerve, they might open the opportunity for Bayley to turn heel in this match, take out Lyra Valkyria, thus setting up the Women's Intercontinental Championship's first actual proper storyline and feud since it's actually been introduced into the ecosystem. They could do that. Maybe that is where they're planning on going, considering this match just has no hype or storyline. Maybe they'll create a storyline within the match. Regardless, I think that Liv and Raquel are retaining. Now let's go to Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in the only stipulation match of this show in a Sin City street fight. And here's the thing, we clowned on the fact that this match was even being teased, but now that we've actually had some time for this match and storyline to develop, I'm excited. I still think that Drew McIntyre should be doing bigger things. Like, why did you have him yap about Roman Reigns for the first part of the year for like 3 months for it to lead to absolutely nothing? But hey, I digress. We're here nonetheless, and it's a match that I'm really excited for because I think that these guys, in terms of the talent that's in here, the type of stipulation, the story that they've told, they could steal the show. Now, I am a firm believer that Drew McIntyre needs to win this. Drew McIntyre has to, please, for the love of God, win this. Look, I don't think that the result of this match would hurt Damian Priest either way. If he loses to Drew McIntyre, it's losing to a multi-time world champion. I think he's gonna be fine. Drew McIntyre losing, on the other hand, I think would get damaged a lot more, considering that WWE was building him up as this giant universal threat in the WWE, and losing here and being clowned again at back-to-back WrestleManias by Damian Priest would just not be a great look. So I am gonna go with Drew McIntyre absolutely kicking Damian Priest's ass in this awesome Sin City street fight. Look out, because this might be the best match of the whole show. Now let's go to the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship between Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. The talent in this match is absolutely nutty. They've done such a great job of building a proper connection between all four of these guys as well. So I gotta give WWE kudos for taking a Fatal 4-Way situation, which often signifies that WWE is just throwing people together for the sake of throwing them together, but actually developing a proper plot threads between all of them. So that's good. It's also just really cool to see Penta getting a match at WrestleMania, and it's equally cool to see Dominic Mysterio finally get a WrestleMania match that doesn't involve his dad, Rey Mysterio. I think that this might be one of the most exciting matches of the night, and I do think that to a degree it might even be one of the more unpredictable ones. I think you can make a really strong case for any of these guys to win, except Finn Balor. Let's face it, he's just there to take the pin. If I'm wrong, then you can come back to this video and clown me, but I'm sorry, Finn Balor fans, he's just not winning. I am gonna go with your boy, Dominic Mysterio. I think Dominic Mysterio is the most out of left field choice here, considering the stacked field that we have in this match. When you look at the two of the most protected superstars that the WWE has in the mid-card, in Penta and Braun Breaker, saying that Dominic Mysterio could win is crazy, but I think the storyline that they've set up here is for Dominic Mysterio to win. Not just for Dominic to win, but for Dominic to win, introducing the new member of the Judgment Day, and in the process pinning Finn Balor. They've been teasing this new member of the Judgment Day for a really, really long time, and it's been Finn Balor that keeps pushing against it. How poetic would it be if this new member that Dominic Mysterio brings in is the one that helps Dominic finally bring gold back to the Judgment Day? So Dominic Mysterio is picking up his first championship in the WWE main roster, and it's gonna be at WrestleMania, and I am going to pop out of this seat when it eventually happens. Now let's talk about what on paper should be the best match of the entire weekend, that being for the Women's World Championship between champion Io Sky, Elimination Chamber winner Bianca Belair, and professional crybaby Rhea Ripley. Oh, that's gonna get people mad. Listen, I'm glad Rhea Ripley's part of this match, all right? But that's how she got into this match, all right? Can we at least agree on that? This is the most unpredictable match of the entire weekend. I could create a 40-page thesis individually for each one of these women as to why they make sense for them to walk out as the winner. Io Sky should walk out as the winner because she's been the one that's elevated her stock by far the most in this storyline and in this feud, and she just won the championship. Rhea Ripley should win because clearly she's demonstrated that out of these three that there is a gap in popularity. Even though she's been the whiny, mostly technically heelish character in this storyline, she's still getting the biggest pop, is still the most popular superstar. And Bianca Belair should win because she's actually the babyface here. She's actually correct. She's actually spitting facts. And on top of that, she is on a WrestleMania streak that I could see WWE further down the line actually marketing. So there is a good case to be made for all three of these women. So where do I think that the dice is going to land? Because I actually genuinely think that this is a bit of a crapshoot. And I know I realize that I'm making like these gambling references and we're in Las Vegas, but it's all unintentional. So if I'm a betting man and I were to spin the roulette and play a hand of blackjack, I'm going to bet that Io Sky is going to walk out as the winner here. And it's not because I'm an Io Sky fan. I've made it very abundantly clear that Io Sky is my favorite in the women's roster right now, but I just think that there's a big match looming between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Within the actual feud itself, we've seen those two underestimate and push away Io Sky time after time after time. And I think it's going to be the fact that they're not paying attention to Io Sky that will ultimately cost both of them the match. And it might cost them the match in such a way where Io Sky gets the big win against the two most popular women's superstars on the planet right now, that's helping continue to elevate her stock even more than it's already been elevating, but also cleanly set us up for the megastar match that is Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. And good God, when that match happens, I might delete my Twitter because the Stan war that will happen when this match gets announced is going to be insane. So yeah, I think that Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair will have blinders on and focus on each other too much, and that will open up the window for Io Sky to retain her Women's World Championship. And now, folks, let's go to the main event of night 2 and the main event of the entire weekend for the WWE Undisputed Championship between champion Cody Rhodes going up against the now heel 2025 Men's Elimination Chamber winner, John Cena. I think it's tough for people that are longtime viewers of this channel to take me non-biasly when I'm talking about John Cena, but I promise you, I'm trying to be non-biased, even though every fiber of my being wants John Cena to win. So let's take my wants for a second and put them to the side, and let's talk about the needs. I think we need John Cena to win here. I think we need John Cena to win here because John Cena winning would, one, give us history, the 17. It would give us history at WrestleMania. We know that WWE loves to make history at WrestleMania and having those WrestleMania moments that they can replay over and over and over again. And we need heel John Cena to actually stand tall and be the big bad guy of the WWE. And the way that they're going to be able to do that is by actually making him the champion. I'm not saying that they need to make him win clean. If anything, I want to see every single dirty tactic that John Cena refused to use throughout his past 20 years as a babyface, and I want to see him win dirty. Now, with this being a night 2 main event in the Triple H era, I'm expecting interactions. I'm expecting shenanigans and run-ins. So who could get potentially involved in this match? There's, of course, people like The Rock and Travis Scott. There's a hell of a lot of rumors about Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is confirmed to be in Las Vegas at the Hall of Fame ceremony. So there is so much that could happen in this match that could turn this into a crazy sequel follow-up to all of the crazy shenanigans that happened at WrestleMania 40. So here's how I think things might actually play out. I think that John Cena is going to have the upper hand there kind of towards the end of the match because The Rock comes in to help him. I think we're going to hear the glass shatter. And look, that sounds crazy, but we heard The Undertaker's gong last year. No one was expecting that. So I think the glass shatters and The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin neutralize each other, thus opening up the playing field for Cody Rhodes and John Cena. But John Cena, in some underhanded tactics, is able to pick up the victory, and John Cena will walk out as the champions once the smoke fully settles from all the craziness. Listen, Cody Rhodes has been the champion for the better part of a year, and he's been a great champion, but I would like to see Cody Rhodes chase again. I would also like to see babyfaces being able to chase the championship because for the past year, we've only seen heels really for the most part go after the championship. And there's always just something a lot more cathartic and entertaining about seeing the good guy trying to topple the bad guy, and making John Cena not a bad guy, but the bad guy could make all of those baby faces look awesome. So I'm gonna go with John Cena making history, winning 17, and walking out of WrestleMania 41 as your new WWE Undisputed Champion. Woo, that is a lot. Folks, I cannot wait to watch WrestleMania with you. Make sure you come back to this channel because we will be live live streaming WrestleMania so that we can watch it together as a community and so that you can nerd out with other wrestling fans. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, goodbye, and get out of here. Happy WrestleMania.